I want to change a life, and if I can save a life, for me, that's way better than ever winning an Olympic gold medal.
I'm Tim Shriver. I am thrilled to be here with Ronny Jones, a 20-plus year-long Special Olympics athlete and a hero of the Special Olympics movement here in Arizona and in the United States and in the world. I'm thrilled to be here with Nicole Phelps, who's the president of the Michael Phelps Foundation, the mother of 4, and the moderator of the internal tornado that is her husband, Michael Phelps, who has 20-plus medals, so they say, probably the greatest Olympic athlete in the history of the Olympic movement, certainly the modern Olympic movement, and both the Phelpses are enormously powerful and crucial supporters of the Special Olympics movement, which is why we're here to celebrate the best in humanity, the parts of us that bring us together, and the work that we are all doing together to kind of raise the spirits of people with intellectual developmental challenges, but also the rest of us too. Tell us a little bit about your story, maybe not just like the competitive story and the swimming and the sports story, but maybe the navigation of how you grew up and came to be who you are.
My mom put myself and my 2 older sisters in the swimming pool just for a Learn to Swim program, and sure enough, that took off into a mind of its own, and I had a couple Olympic games throughout the journey, and had some great success. Look, for me, I was able to set really high goals and put in kind of the hard work and dedication that it took to get there. Through my journey, I had so many people doubt me, say that I would never be able to accomplish these goals. I had a teacher once tell me I'd never amount to anything. And for me, with those things, when I heard those, I used those as motivation. Those made me work even harder to prove them wrong, because I knew that I was deserving. I was deserving to achieve the goals and the dreams that I had gone out and tried to achieve. I'm somebody that openly deals with depression and anxiety. And sometimes it's a daily occurrence, right? I can wake up and either feel really good or feel like I want to crawl into a ball and the room is closing in on me. The journey that I've been on has allowed me to be my authentic self. And that's what I want for every single person on this planet, right? Be their authentic self, but also have the chance to do whatever their heart tells them, right? Do whatever their dreams and their passions are leading them towards.
Just listening to you, Michael, it strikes me that if those words were coming out of the mouth of a Special Olympics athlete, for many of our athletes, you wouldn't have to change a word. The same journey for being doubted, the same journey of being told no, the same journey of having a goal and sticking with it, the same journey of wondering about your feelings, how to manage them, how to deal with them, the same journey of coming out the other side. People look at you and they think, wow, that's the sort of larger than life narrative of a sports icon. But it's actually a very human narrative that many of us can relate to, so I really am grateful that you're sharing it. Nicole, just tell us a little bit about, you're raising 4 children now, you have to deal with this husband.
Oh, 5. Yeah. Me.
Oh yeah.
Me.
I was about to say.
Yeah. No, we don't have any stories, but I'm the 5th child.
Yep. Tell us a little bit about this interaction between like how you're supporting Michael and with his mental health challenges, raising your own children to be healthy and know themselves.
It's interesting, right, to start with, because there's so many different personalities, there's so many different emotions, and so it can be a swirl. I have my own emotions too that I have to pay attention to, because I know that if I'm not paying attention to mine, then I can't hold space for Michael, I can't hold space for the kids, on top of lack of sleep with a 4-month-old. So there's a lot of different layers from what we experience on a daily basis, and when Michael's not in his best self, it kind of puts the household kind of on pause, and not because everybody needs to pay attention to Michael, but because it's okay, there's an awareness that Michael can't potentially perform to what he normally does for me as a support system. The kids want their dad, whether Michael's happy or sad or whatever, any emotion, the kids still want their dad. So it's wading that water and telling the kids to recognize that dad's having a bad day, dad's not feeling good, dad's in the office because he needs a moment to breathe. You're welcome to go in there and check on him, but please give him space if he needs it. And same goes for me. I mean, Michael has to wade that water with myself as well if I'm not having a good day.
I've been able to become vulnerable or show vulnerability, and now I'm okay just sharing these feelings or these thoughts. And same with Nicole, and we do it with each other, right? Or we do it with a therapist, or we're doing it with our friends. Like when the boys see me being me, you know, I kind of remember back to being a kid, like my parents told me that you weren't supposed to show that, right? Like, you know, when you're having a bad day, you were supposed to just put on a front and kind of shove it down. And I'm not saying, you know, that's good or bad, but it's what their parents taught them, right? And their parents taught them. You know, so for me, when my kids see this, they understand that I'm having a bad day. And we've taught them the importance of, you know, when they have a struggling moment or their emotions are really big as kids, they can take that step back and explain the situation or explain the emotions that you're going through instead of shoving them away, right? Because when you shove them away, I've found that they come back even harder and stronger, right? So, you know, for me, I've learned to just kind of face the things that I was struggling with, and in turn
It helps the household.
yeah, it does, for sure. It does help the household, right? I think Nicole always says, if my glass isn't full, how can I fill theirs? You know, so self-care is something that's so important and something that's talked about in our household.
So Ronny, you've got so many accomplishments, but why don't you just start, can we start with just having you tell us a little bit about how you, as an athlete, make sure that you're staying healthy and setting goals and keeping your feelings open and strong and connected to others when you need them. How do you do that?
So it comes from my mind, comes from my heart, comes from faith, came through my strength, and also it allowed me to stay focused.
And how do you stay focused when you feel like
On a bad day.
On
Yeah,
a
like
bad
if you're
day.
having a bad day,
Yeah.
right? Like, you know, because there's sometimes we wake up and they're really good days, right? You feel like, yes, I can conquer everything.
Yep.
And there's some days you're like, I feel sad, or I don't really want to go to practice today, or I don't want to go to school. Like on those days, like on the down days when you feel sad when you get up, what do? How do you get yourself out of those funks to be able to keep moving forward?
Just to relax, nice breathe, inhale and exhale, and just like keep my mind focused on what I'm doing, and just that take your mind off it, like do a podcast, do music, or do word finders, or like do something like much like relaxing from your actual mind.
I think a lot of times people, when they hear anxiety or depression or bad days, they think it's the end. Instead of, okay, I'm feeling sad today, here's what I'm gonna do about it. Where I don't wanna go to school, I don't wanna go to work today, here's how I'm gonna manage that. I'm not gonna crush it, pretend I don't feel it, but I'm also maybe gonna manage it. You just said, listen to podcasts, listen to music, do breathing. Most people don't have those strategies. Do you ever tell other Special Olympics athletes or other friends of yours how you manage stress so they can learn from you?
Yes. So for me, for allowing friends or like family members or just like people that I know within my family, and I would always let them know about like of how I feel. It's like talk to a person and you say how they actually feel. It's kind of like saying like, hey, I can do this, but if you need help, just let them know, and they're always there for you.
Especially like there are times you can see somebody who's struggling, right? And maybe it's just reaching out and giving them a high five or saying hello, right? Like I have friends, like a group that I have, we have a couple of guys that will just send a text message, right? Just checking in on one another, right? Like, hey, your name is in my head today. You know, I've been thinking about you. Hope all is well. And sometimes that message comes to the people at the right time, right? And then they have that safety to open up, and that's so good. Keep sharing that message with me, buddy. Come on, we're on top of that mountain. Let's make a difference.
Heck yes.
Michael, you've described these moments where it was really scary. In those moments, the rest of the world saw like this success, you know, like the dream. Standing on the world stage, the whole world is applauding you. I mean, most people make, I dare say, the mistake of thinking that success will get rid of any bad feelings. Why does success not work?
Yeah, I guess that's right, right? I think I guess, like, you know, I think the easiest way for me to explain that is, I think success is almost like a Band-Aid to put over things that you're struggling from or things that you're just shoving down. You win 8 gold medals in Olympic Games, you're not a normal person. Right. But for me, I look at myself as a normal person, because when I get out of bed, some days are good, some days are bad. I put my pants on the same way as everybody else. If I'm thirsty, I take a drink of water. If I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat, right? If I'm really tired, I'm gonna take a nap, right? Like everything that normal people do. But I think it's just, for me, it was almost like I was under a microscope. And I guess for me, I was trying to be somebody or that maybe I wasn't. And I think for me, you know, when I got to the point where, you know, I didn't want to be alive anymore, you know, I kind of really had to ask myself, like, who am I? Right? Like, what is my identity? And I think at that point, I was just like, I'm going to show the world who I am. And if they don't like that, it's not my problem, because it's out of my control. You know, I think for me, control is such it's a powerful word for everything I do in my life. Because if I'm doing everything that is in my control, nothing else matters. And everything else will naturally just take care of itself. But I think success can be difficult. But I think for me, I was very lucky through my success to have a good support team around me, right? Like people that I was able to talk and share about anything that I wanted to share about. You know, so I think that's the reason why I was able to grow and become who I am now. You know, look in the mirror and like who I see, not be ashamed of seeing just a kid with a pair of goggles and a cap on.
Yeah. Nicole, when you hear these stories, you hear Michael opening up this way. Does this, is this what you thought when you were getting? Could you see the complexity of Michael in the early stages, or were you like a lot of the rest of us, just sort of enamored of the?
It's a good question. I think the complexity has always been there, because I don't think that you can have somebody do what he's done and not have complexity, right? And I also think that there was a lot of understanding of what sacrifice meant, and for him and for myself too, because I also had to recognize that getting into this type of relationship where I knew he still had goals and wants and desires in the water, I had to put sacrifices between the two of us. So water, swimming came before he and I. So I think, you know, I think I saw those and I think I recognized them. I don't think I understood to what extent his mental health stability, instability was at that time. But I also think he was doing a really good job of hiding it. But when things happened in 2014, I took it on head on. I mean, I went to the rehabilitation center with him for Family Week, and they pretty much said, like, this, you either take this on or you don't. And so I made that choice at that point to take on whatever instability he was going to have day in, day out, and learn from it. And I learned about myself, and I continue to learn about myself, and I continue to learn about mental health every single day, because it's so important. Like, he's talking about success. I think one of the biggest things that comes with success is fear to fail. And so how do we work through that on a daily basis of failing in a home with 4 boys and knowing dinner's not going to be on the table at the right exact time, and it's really okay because we're not with Bob anymore, and down to the second doesn't matter.
but like, to that point, like literally every single second was so calculated. Like if I was in the pool an hour and a half before I raced and I was standing on the pool deck 2 minutes early, I was going to stand on that pool deck for those 2 minutes before I got into the water. So the regimented schedule was not like militaristic, but like that, right? Like it was very regimented through everything from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed to the time I was in the pool, in the massage area, blah, 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 blah. And now it's again like, with 4 kids, there are so many unknowns, right? Like, so again, what can you control?
And you've talked about in so many different places that the second leading cause of death for children, I don't want to bring up a sad note, is drowning. Yeah. So part of your work is to try to reduce, try to eliminate that number. We don't want children. We want children to love the water, be exposed to the water, to be happy in the water, not to lose their lives.
I mean, you said it great. Children under the age of 14, drowning is the second highest cause of death. Right. And for me, being me still as my swimmer self that I once was, that's scary with 4 kids, right? So, it was something important for us to get them in the water and have them feel comfortable and safe in the water. That's how I was taught how to swim. I didn't even want to put my face
Do
under
you
the
teach
water.
your children to swim?
No.
No.
Yeah.
No, don't give me another challenge. We're good.
Well, why not? You can't do that.
My coach will.
I see. Okay. Well, I'm sure there's
He
another
doesn't like
story.
getting splashed.
I don't like getting no, I don't like getting wet. But yeah, you know, like for me, like I just, that's how it is. I spent 20 plus years every single day of my life getting wet. Not anymore. But for me, I want to teach just the importance of water safety, right? I mean, I read articles about it all the time. And for me, also, I wanted to add the importance of just being aware of your 8 basic emotions, right? Like that's something still for me every single day that's important, right? Like talk about them, right? Like address these things. And you know, these little tools have just given me the chance to be my authentic self every single day. And I think everybody should have that opportunity, right? Be their authentic self and do whatever makes them happy.
Yeah. Nicole, when you think about the message of the foundation to our community and to other communities around the world that you're supporting, how do you explain it? What's the goal you've set for the foundation? Michael's talked about setting goals. Yeah. What are the goals you're setting for the foundation that we can all benefit and learn from?
I mean, we've been grateful for our partnership with you guys, right? Because it's put us in 36 different countries. So we're so excited for that, because that's something that I think when I was sitting in one of the very first meetings, which was in Shanghai, after coming off of Worlds with Michael in 2011 and watching his presentation to Special Olympics there, that was really cool. And I think that was one of the very first partnerships with you guys worldwide. We're taking the Michael Phelps Foundation programming into these pools, and we continue to do that with you guys, and we can provide the swimming programming to people like Ronny, and that's what's cool. And I don't think 36 is enough. I mean, I've learned to become very greedy, like Michael. So it's like we need to get bigger. Yeah, we need to do more. I mean, we're here in America. I don't think we're in every single state. So it's like those passions, and it's like it's finding where we're missing these holes, and how can we spread it even further. And so like we've learned to train the trainer program. So now they're taking whatever country we've gone into and they can train their trainers. The
partnership honestly couldn't, I mean, it's a dream come true, right? Like we're so passionate about what we're doing, right? We want to make a difference. So yeah, when you see something like that, it's really easy to get out of bed and to see what we can do, to see what else we can do to improve someone else's life.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Part of the Special Olympics movement is integrally the people around our athletes. Right. And the story of so many of our families is, you know, the surprise of having a child or having a family member who you didn't expect to, you know, just somehow came from the play. And a lot of parents and a lot of family members really struggle with the adjustment. And you're describing this moment, you know, moms and dads don't have the choice, but you described a moment of choice. Right. Where, you know, a lot of people would go, oh, okay, wait a minute. That's a lot for me. I'm not sure. I'm not ready. I don't know if I'm good enough for this. I don't know if I can handle this. But you just dove in without knowing the answer to any of those questions.
I think I would rather fail trying than not try at all. And so I think that's one of the biggest things. And still to this day, even being a parent, I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. I can pretend like I know what I'm doing, but it doesn't mean that I know what's going to happen with every single kid. I mean, we went to see horses yesterday, and I've got this mini horse that's like chewing the back of each kid's neck, steps on somebody's toe. The big horses are trying to protect it. And it's like you have no control over scenes like that. And it's the same thing with Michael. I don't know what he's going to wake up with. One day I can expect, like, I'm like, okay, great, things are awesome. And then one little tiny trigger might set Michael off. And then I'm like, wait a minute, can you breathe? Can you do something? Can you go swim? Like, I'll kick him out of the house and be like, please go to the pool because you haven't done that in a while. I know it's meditative to you, and that's a tool.
You made this the mission to share with athletes not just how to swim and not just how to have fun, how to be healthy. The web, you know, your messages around being healthy are not primarily around, you know, nutrition and stretching. It's around taking deep breaths and around setting goals and around positive self-talk and these kinds of things. So what you, in a sense, are doing for your family, you're challenging or, you know, offering to the whole world.
Yeah, it's a great way of saying it, yeah.
So I think, you know, as we've kind of grown as a foundation, we've changed our mission from healthy and active lifestyles to now making sure that families are confident and comfortable in the water and in life. And that's because of what we've experienced, right? And so that's why we're grateful for organizations like you guys, because that's what you're doing too. Yeah. You're teaching a whole unit, not just one individual, to be calm and confident. I mean, you're talking to us about breathing techniques and listening to podcasts, and I'm like, okay, what else do you do, Ronny? Because I want in. I want to know what you do when I have my moments too. And so I'm grateful for partnerships like you guys, because we get to learn from you too, and we can make the foundation better by being able to listen to what your athletes have to say for us too.
Yeah. When you first got involved in Special Olympics, how old were you?
I was 6 years old, and it taught me a lot. So like for me, like I like always like keep myself motivated and just keep me going. And just it really helps my mind.
In your journey, Michael described people saying to him at times he wasn't going to be successful. Did anyone ever discourage you? Did you ever have a moment where someone said, Ronny, you're not going to be this or you're not going to be that, and you just heard it and said you're wrong? Did that ever happen to you?
The one thing that kind of hardest is for me is just like I can't do it on my own, but the thing is there's any doubters or like any knuckleheads or like any people that is self-talking to me or like keeping myself down. Just like keep it positive and just like be yourself and just don't think about it. Walk away and don't talk about the negative.
You said you're helping other people, and I believe you that you are. Is there anyone you're helping right now?
Yes.
Who's that?
My wife,
Nice.
of course.
Of course.
Sarah. And
Such a romantic.
and also my Special Olympic teammates. Just being them have to be confident in themselves. Just let everything go.
When you compete against your teammates in
Yes.
sports, do you try to crush them like
No.
Michael did against
No.
it?
Like Michael said, there's no competition, but it's just a practice. It's just like a nice, easy mellow, and just like.
You're giving him an anxiety attack.
But I didn't want to give you a hard time, Michael. But it's not like thinking about yourself. But no, it's not like that. But it's like you need to give the other people a try to keep them going.
Ronny, I've learned a lot from talking to moms and dads in Special Olympics. I remember talking to my own mom, who helped get this whole Special Olympics movement started. And my Aunt Rosemary, when she would come to visit us, and she had quite significant challenges, but she could swim. And she could swim she could sit in the deep end for like a half an hour and just hold her, And my mother was always saying, Rosemary can do things. Rosemary, and I would, as a little kid, I wouldn't necessarily understand because my Aunt Rosemary couldn't use words. She didn't have language. But my mom always said, but Rosemary can do things. Watch her in the pool. And here I was, a little kid, and I'd get to the deep end and I'd be like, and then I'd go to the and go to the side to hang on. And Rosemary would just be there, and I can still see her in our pool and thinking to myself, my mom knew positive self-talk and positive talk for others. And I think so many of our moms and dads in our movement, they're geniuses at doing what you've described, Michael, which is people tell them their kids can't do this or they can't do that. And I can hear the voices, I'm not listening to that. I'm not accepting that message. They have this kind of internal engine. I don't know whether it's driven by love or anger or excitement or goals, but it's powerful, and our movement has a lot of moms and dads, to me, who teach that lesson. Keep a positive message, affirm that you can do it even when it's hard. I was looking, Nicole, Michael, at the rules in the IM program. One of them is this 3-word rule: try, try, try. For our athletes, it can feel overwhelming sometimes. In so many parts of the world, the odds are so against us, and so against their moms, so against their dads. What's the way to communicate to them that we're with them if they try? They have to just stay strong and try.
For so many of these parents that struggle because they have everything else on their plates on top of what they're working with and their children, it's hard, and it's truly hard. And they don't know what's going to happen until they give it a try. And I think that's the biggest thing with getting in the water, is giving it a try, because so many of these children and adults learn that they have this complete freedom once they're in the water. And so that's why we're so grateful for what Michael has taught us in the foundation, is just being in the water can relieve some of that stress and anxiety, and it'll teach you something that you didn't know about yourself.
You know, like I didn't know what would happen when I asked out for, you know, when I reached out for help. But I reached out for help, and it was the greatest thing I did in my life, right? So let's try some things, right? Try to become vulnerable. Try to do something different. You'll get different outcomes.
Yeah, beautiful. Michael, you know, you can obviously get involved in anything you want. Anything in sports, anything in media, anything in business. You both have chosen to give a huge amount of your time and energy to the athletes and families and volunteers of Special Olympics. Why? What's behind the decision? What inspires you or moves you?
I mean, you heard a little bit about me growing up. Like my family upbringing maybe wasn't the best. People told me I'd never amount to anything. You know, doubters, this, that, and the other. And for me, all I wanted was a chance. I wanted a chance to be great. And for me, I think everybody deserves a chance to be great, no matter what. So for me, the things that I've learned, whether it's in the pool or, you know, learning to talk and address your emotions, they've allowed me to be who I am today. And I want to give these tools to whoever I can, to hopefully give them an opportunity to be their Olympic champion, to be their superhero, whatever it might be, right? Whatever their goal and dream is, I want them to go out there and believe that they can do it. Because for me, when I set out to do my goal, people thought I was crazy. They thought it was absolutely impossible. But I believed it, and I wanted it. And I lived and breathed it every single day. And if somebody out there is struggling to find a goal or to believe in themselves, it's possible. Look, right? Like every single person deserves a chance. So for me, yeah, you know, over the last 17 years, we've been able to have some incredible stories, right? Kids being able to overcome boundaries, have confidence to bust through these walls and to do it while enjoying themselves, right? So, you know, for me, I want to change a life. And if I can save a life, for me, that's way better than ever winning an Olympic gold medal.
Sport brings everyone together, and I think the Olympics do that so well. It tames the world for at least the 2-3 weeks the Olympics are taking place, and all eyes are on what are taking place there. Same for you guys when the Special Olympics happens worldwide. It's kind of the same thing. Like all eyes are on what the athletes are doing, and so whatever team you're cheering for, country, you know, everybody comes together. Doesn't matter where they come from, backgrounds, nothing. And so I think that comes also with the compassion. So everybody carries compassion when they're cheering for their team, for person, whatever that looks like. And with compassion, I think we can kind of unify versus the struggles that we like to bring upon ourselves daily, right?
Beautiful. Engagement, be a teammate, listen, learn, compassion, unify.
Lead, all those things, it's awesome.
These are lessons of very brilliant, very compassionate, very wise people that I've had a chance to talk to today. Thank you to the Phelpses. Thank you, Ronny.
Yeah, thank you.